Hi, I wanted to take a couple of minutes to show people how I was able to replace the glass on my Dell Venue Pro. Essentially, my phone fell uh, glass facing down on a solid surface and it shattered. And so I was actually able to find a replacement glass, also known as the Digitizer, from a seller in eBay. So if you search glass Digitizer Dell Venue Pro on eBay, you will probably find the seller. There's another seller in the UK, but I have not. It was a lot more expensive, and I didn't hear many good things about it on other postings. I paid about $74 with delivery, and it took less than 2 weeks to arrive to North Carolina. I'm gonna very quickly talk about how this was basically taken apart, and I apologize. I couldn't really film this while I was taking it apart because it really took almost 45 minutes, really not knowing what I was doing and just following some text directions I found on the internet from someone else. But I do have some more detailed pictures, much better quality than this video, that I'm attaching at the end of the video with some text, and hopefully between this video and those pics at the end that you can pause and hopefully read what I put in there. Hopefully that will help you replace the glass. So basically you need a Torx screwdriver, and that's like the star-shaped screwdriver. You want to get a small one. I think somebody said it's a T6. Very tiny one you can buy. I bought a kit for like $6 at a hardware store. You have to remove 6 screws from the back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This little guy over here was covered with a little white sticker for some reason I cannot explain, but I was able to remove the sticker. Once you do that, the bottom part essentially just pries out with your fingers and your hand. It takes a little bit of wiggling and patience, but eventually you will be able to completely separate the bottom part along with the chrome edges from the digitizer part and the motherboard that has the keyboard and everything else. So it will essentially leave this completely exposed. Once you do that, there's actually 4 little other screws that you have to remove to be able to separate the glass digitizer from the LCD. There's 1, 2, and then there's a couple other screws here and here, but you can't see them because they're right behind the motherboard. Once you remove this part, and you will see that in the pictures hopefully, you will be able to sort of twist this a little bit, about 15 degrees. In another posting I saw 45 degrees, and I felt if you do that you may actually break some of the cables that are there. Once you remove this, you really want to pay attention to the connections. There's like 2 different flat cables connecting the motherboard to the LCD and the digitizer, and you really don't want to kind of disconnect that unless it's absolutely necessary. Once you remove that, again, and you twist it, you will expose both screws and you will easily be able to remove them. After that's done, then you can actually separate this part over here, which is the LCD and the digitizer still clamped together, and pry them off again with your fingers. These 2, I don't know if this is very hard to see, difficult to see here or not, but you will be able to kind of work around, and you may be able to use a little thin screwdriver, like a kind of like what you use to like repair your glasses, and then just basically take these 2 things apart. And in the pictures you will also see that there's one connection here on the top. It's a flat cable that connects to the LCD. That's about the only thing you have to worry about. On the bottom part, I noticed, and this wasn't mentioned in any of the other blogs, there's actually a little piece of also what seems to be an electronic connection, but it really is not. It's just kind of like a metal tape that is actually connected to a little foam nipple, if you will. and I have no idea what that is. I basically ripped the foam off because it was kind of like glued, but I didn't bother gluing it back or connecting it back. It seems to have no purpose whatsoever. My phone, as you can see, is working perfectly. It's been running for about 5 days and I have had no issues whatsoever. Everything slides perfectly like it should. It doesn't feel loose or anything. Once you basically replace the new glass onto the LCD and you make that connection, I was actually when you reconnect it, I actually had to use a small set of pliers to gently press the connectors together to make sure it's a tight connection, and essentially everything just kind of snaps back in. Again, it took me about 45 minutes, but it's only because it's kind of nerve-wracking. You really want to make sure you don't pry anything unnecessarily or pull cables. If I were to do this again, it'll probably take me 10 minutes. One other thing I noticed is once you remove this part, the button for the camera will actually pop off, and that just kind of pops on fairly easily. So hopefully I will be able to show some more detail in the pictures. Again, I apologize for the quality of this video. I couldn't figure out how to do the voiceover on the pictures. But hopefully between the video and the pictures, this will help somebody out there replace the glass on their Dell Venue Pro.
Hi, this is actually just a view of the broken glass. Notice the electrical connections. It's just not glass, it's actually got connections in there, so you need to be aware of that. This is actually the first separation of the bottom element with the rest of the phone. The white arrows just point to where you kind of have to work around with your nails and your fingers or screwdriver to separate it. This view, I thought it was kind of useful because you can see kind of like almost like a cutout how it will end up looking. And the next view is basically some little yellow arrows. They're kind of hard to see, but they're pointing to the screws. You see the one on the bottom under the green part. It's actually not exposed. That's where you have to actually rotate it. This next picture shows a little bit of the rotation of the electronics board where it exposed the screw and you can pop it out. Notice there's actually arrows also pointing to where you need to be careful not to like break the flat electronic connections. And this is just basically the Digitizer separate clamp open shape from the LCD. You can pause this video hopefully over and over and read the comments I made here. The white arrow is just pointing to the one and only connection you need to be aware of. Thanks.